Hey, what is going on, guys? We got a trike for you to check out today. This is the M330 P7 by AddMotor. If you're not familiar with AddMotor, that's been in the e-bike business since about 2011, doing e-bikes and e-bike components. Before that, they were doing motorcycle components and such since about, I think, 2006. So they've been making e-bikes for a while. You can buy them direct from them, of course, on their website. They do come with a 1-year comprehensive warranty, but in recent years, they've been working with dealers quite a bit more. Particularly, here in the LA area, there's some dealers that do carry them. And so you can go to a dealer and try it out first. That's awesome for test riding and fitting and stuff like that. It can be a little bit questionable ordering online sometimes if you're not quite sure if something's gonna fit you. So nice to have that dealer option. Now the bike that you're looking at right here, this is $27.99 as you see it here. And it is a good hauler trike. We've got this basket in the back here that is just huge. That can hold a lot of stuff. We get the little basket in the front up here as well. I appreciate that it's separate from the stem and everything, so you can turn here without rotating that basket. That's awesome, so the stuff you have up there will stay stable and not fall out. And the maximum weight on this trike is about 350 pounds. So that's you and cargo. So you can really load this thing up, especially if you are a smaller person. And the fat tires, of course, help to add a lot of cushion and comfort. Now, we do have a front suspension fork up here. This is pretty basic, it's one of the Mozo ride forks, and so it's a spring fork. It's only got 50 millimeters of travel, no adjustments on it either. So like I said, it's pretty basic. It does help to cushion out the ride a bit, and it works with these fat tires. These are the Kenda Crusade Sport tires that we have on all 3 wheels here. And these are 20 inches by 4.0. So that 20 inch, of course, gives a nice mechanical advantage for the hub motor that we've got up here. This is a fat tire specific hub motor from Bafang, 750 watts on that, about 900 peak. So that is a powerful hub motor up there. 80 Newton meters of torque on it as well. And so it's got the power that you need for this bike to haul both the bike and you and your gear. And the weight, this is a pretty heavy trike, of course. Trikes tend to weigh quite a bit more than just a standard e-bike will. Of course, we've got 3 wheels to work with here, plus the basket adds some more. So 89.1 pounds is what I weighed this at. Hey guys, quick correction on the weight on here. It's actually 74 pounds, about 74.1 pounds. We also weighed it in a box to get just the full weight for shipping, just because I was curious about that, and then I got confused with the numbers that I wrote down, and so you'll hear me saying 91 pounds. Not right, it's actually 74. So still a bit on the heavy side, but not as extreme as 91. All right, back to the review. They've got some stuff to help save weight, like the rims here. Rims are all punched out on all 3. And that helps to save on some weight as well. Going back to the tires here, these Kenda Crusade Sports are very comfortable tires. They've got good tread on them for good traction. No reflective striping on the sidewalls, as you can see. I would have liked to see that. The Kenda is pretty bright, so that helps out. And of course, there's the reflectors on the spokes there. Still would have liked to see some striping on there. And puncture protection would be nice as well. These don't come with any puncture protection, so you may want to add some of that yourself if you live in a place where you have lots of thorns and you need that. You get a little bit just from having fat tires. They're a lot thicker and larger, and the tread, especially the bumps, the nubs on there are a lot bigger, so that helps out some, but just be aware that you might want to add some of your own puncture protection on there. Now, we get some more integrated stuff here too. In addition to the racks, we've got integrated front and rear lights. That is pretty great. This is the Trendo by Spanninga headlight on the front up there. These are really bright lights. They do an awesome job lighting up the road in front of you. And in the back here, we have got a Blazelite integrated tail light here. And that's awesome. You can turn it on from the control pad up there. A lot of other AddMotor bikes, instead of having the integrated lights, they have just the third party, or I guess the separate lights that are battery powered. You have to push a button to turn them on and off. So I appreciate that we have this one on here. That helps out for just ease of use, and also you don't have to worry about changing out batteries or forgetting and leaving them on by accident. The saddle that we get on here, this helps out with the ride comfort as well. This is an AddMotor created saddle. It's nice and comfy. It's a foam saddle as opposed to being gel, and a little bit wider than normal. That helps out to it's a little more comfortable to sit on for longer periods of time, of course. And so, you know, speaking of the comfort of the bike, this is a really approachable and comfortable ride. We've got the step-thru here, really low step-thru, only about 15 inches. Easy to get on and off. You've got a pretty decent range of height with that saddle going up and down. And then the handlebar, or excuse me, the stem, I should say, stem and handlebars up here. These are something you would see on a folding bike. So if you check this out, you can use this right here to, a little bit difficult with one hand. You can pop that off right there and fold the handlebars down. Now, it's not a folding bike. You can't fold anything else on the trike. So I guess that could help out a little bit with storage. It seemed kind of strange to me to have this, but the advantage of this stem is that you can pull the quick release right here, and you can raise up the height on that by quite a bit. And they are nice, and they give us plenty of extra cable, as you can see here, so you can really raise that up a long ways if you want to. I think I measured it at around 160 millimeters for how much extra height that you can get on that. And that is really that is a lot of height up here. You know, for a tall rider like me, I'm sitting upright, nice and comfy. It feels great, honestly, so I appreciate that. Being able to really raise those up here makes it a great fit trike if you're a really tall person. For reference, I'm about 6'3", so if you're as tall as me or even a bit taller, I think that this will still work great for you. Let's get this lowered back down to standard here. All right, so talking about some other components on the bike here. For stopping power here, we've got Tektro. These are the Tektro Aries levers up here. They're nice, big, you know, about 4-finger levers here. Helps to make them easier to actuate. Now, they are mechanical brakes as opposed to being hydraulic. Mechanical brakes need a little bit more regular maintenance, like tightening, because the cables will stretch. And on a trike like this, I'm a little bit mixed on having the mechanical brakes, just because the cable has a lot farther to go to get back there to those wheels. And we have 2 brakes in the back, of course, 2 disc brakes. You can see one on this wheel, there's one on the other one. 160 millimeter rotors in the back and 180 up front. So those are nice big rotors. And we do have the 4-finger levers up here that gives you a bit of a mechanical advantage when pulling on those brakes. And I did not have any complaints for the stopping power when I was riding it. I would just keep in mind that you make sure you keep those rear brakes tuned up and tightened. That way you're still able to stop safely. Now, we've got a front hub drive motor right up here, 750 watts, fat tire specific. This thing has a ton of power. You'll see that when we get into the test ride portion just a little bit later. Moving up here to take a look at our cockpit, we've got ergonomic grips. These are rubberized grips. They got some texture on them to help you grip them easier. They're not locking, so if you put some effort into it, you can twist those around on the handlebars. This is not a very big issue on a bike like this. You know, you have an upright, relaxed seating position. You're not going to be bearing down on those like you might on a mountain bike. So I think that's okay that they don't lock. I do appreciate on the throttle here, they textured it a bit to have the same appearance as that ergonomic grip. Helps it to blend in a little bit. The shifter right here, as you can see, this is the Shimano SIS Index. It's a thumb shifter, so you can shift easier right here or shift harder by pressing the button there. AddMotor uses this on just about all of their models. Solid performance from this shifter. And moving back over to the twist throttle here, this is a variable throttle, so you can twist a little bit of power or twist it a lot to get full power. Now, this is a Class 2 electric bike because it has that throttle. So you can have pedal assistance or using the throttle up to 20 miles per hour. Now, if you want to, you can go into the settings here and tweak that up a bit so you can go even faster, up to 25 or even 28-ish miles per hour. Now, if you do that, that's going to make you a Class 3 electric bike since you're going that much faster. So be aware of the regulations where you live before you go making any changes like that. But if you want to, you have more than enough power from the motor here. Now, this display here, this is one of Bafang's standard displays, and they've got their AddMotor branding on it. It actually has a USB charging port right underneath here, so you can plug in and charge if you've got an Android phone. But if you got an iPhone, you're going to be out of luck, unfortunately, because that is only a 500 milliamp port. iPhones need a full amp to be able to charge. So Android only if you're going to be charging right there. And the buttons right here, the control pad, we've got the up and down arrows for changing your assist levels and some other functions. And you can hold down the M right here fire up that display. Monochrome LCD display. I like these just because they're so easy to see. You know, color displays may look fancy and can have extra readouts and whatnot, but these get the job done, easy to see in any light setting, so I like this a lot. Really, the only downside is that the battery percentage right here, or the battery meter rather, is not a percentage. You just get 5 bars, 20% steps. That's not very precise, so it gets the job done, but not as good as having a percentage readout. You've got your odometer in the top right, your speed in the middle there, your current pedal assist level, and you can also see the motor wattage level there on the bottom. You can press the up and down here to change that pedal assist level all the way up to 5, or all the way down to 0. And in 0, of course, the throttle is completely inactive. Now, something that I like on this bike that AddMotor is really good about on all their bikes is if you're in pedal assist level 1, you still have full throttle power. So you can still bear down on that throttle and accelerate all the way up to the top speed. I really like that because if you are maybe you're riding along at a slower speed, you got a low pedal assist level going, but then you need to accelerate for something. Maybe you got a hill or you just need to get out of the way of something. It's nice to be able to have that full throttle power on demand, even in the low assist levels. I do like that a lot. Now, if we are to hold down the up arrow on here, that will then switch to average speed for the display. Hold it again, you can see your max speed, hold it again, and back to the regular speedometer. If you, let's see, how did we do this? I think you hold down up and M at the same time. There we go. That will turn on the lights. You can see that light indicator pop up, and the light will turn on in the front and also in the back. Appreciate having those integrated lights for sure. All right, let's go ahead and turn that back off. Now you can hold down the down arrow here and woo, turn on walk mode. That's very nice, especially on a trike like this. You know, if you're walking with a friend or something like that, pretty hefty to push around by yourself. So thanks to them for putting that on there. Easier to walk it around and maneuver it. Now you can also hold down the up and down at the same time. That'll get you into settings. You can change, oh, interesting. That's actually not set right. We got 20-inch wheels here. You can change your wheel sizes. You can change your top speed. I don't even know what this one is. There's a lot of settings in here. Well, actually, this one doesn't have all too many. That's probably changing for kilometers and miles per hour. So you want to be careful about changing stuff in these settings, of course. Really only want to do that if recommended by AddMotor, or if you know what you're doing in there. Moving back around here so you can check out the battery. You can press this little button on the top right here. That'll show you the charge level. You only get 3 bars on there, so not a whole lot of precision there, but it's good to just give you a general idea of where you're at. Now this is a seat post tube mounted battery. As you can see, for the charge port, you just slide this out to show that right there. And I'm sorry I didn't bring the charger with me, but it's a 2.5 amp charger. That's just a little bit better than what's considered the standard of 2 amp. It's still pretty lightweight at only 1.2 pounds. I'll have pictures of that charger on the full written review back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Go ahead and close that. Now the key, you have to have the key in to ride the bike. So you have to have it in and then turned to that on position here. This is a little bit of a bummer having to have the key in there, because if you keep the key on a keychain and then you put it in here, you know, your keys are rattling around, and then maybe you need your keys for something else, you have to take it out of here. That can be annoying. But, and, you know, if you have it by itself like this, it's easy to lose it. So my suggestion, get a little carabiner to put that on, and then you can just take that off your keychain easily to put it in here. It does fold, as you can see. That's nice. You can fold it that way. It keeps it from getting snagged on stuff as easily. Now if we turn this to off and then push in and turn, that is how you unlock the battery, and it unlocks the key as well. So now that can pop out of there. Now to remove the battery, we do have to remove the seat post, otherwise it will bonk into that. So we'll go ahead and plop that down right here. Removing the battery is easy because we got this nice handle on the top that pops up. Whoop, lost our seat post clamp there, that's all right. So you can take a look at the battery here. This is a pretty hefty battery. I think it weighed around 9 or 9.1 pounds. So it's got some weight to it for sure. You know, contributes to the overall weight of the trike, of course, but if you're just moving it around by itself, just keep in mind it's a little bit on the heavier side. This is a really high capacity battery though. This is 48 volts and 14.5 amp hour. So you're looking at around 700 watt hours for the total capacity. So this can get you a long ways on this trike. It's nice when you have such a big, heavy one. As you can see, you've got the seat tube post, and then there's that back rail support right there to slide it into. And we'll get this lined up here. A little bit more challenging with one hand. So I got the seat post back on, and then I also turned this around just so we can take a look at the rest of the drivetrain here. We're looking at a 48 tooth steel chainring up front here, and we've got this aluminum alloy double-sided guide that helps to keep stuff out of the chain and also helps to keep it from bouncing off. It's nice because we got a pretty long chain here on this, you know, trike form, and so I like that. That helps to keep the chain stable. And I also I just love the appearance with the clean polished metal cutouts on there. I like the look of it, and they're also a bit reflective. That helps out somewhat with the side visibility since we don't have those the reflective striping on the sidewalls. Now in the back here, a little bit hard to see it. Let's see if we can move around here to let you look. This is a Shimano Tourney derailleur, 7-speed back here. That cassette is, what was it, 14 to 28 tooth in the back there. So that's a pretty small range on the cassette. Now this is a trike, so you're not going to be doing any trails or anything like that with it. It gets the job done for sure. The Shimano Tourney, that's the entry level from Shimano. You know, Tourney, and then above that you have Altus, and then there are other group sets. So this is the entry level. Now it's still Shimano, so it's still pretty good, and Shimano does improve their Tourney year after year. They keep on improving all their group sets, really. But just be aware, you know, you're not getting the top of the line components on this. I did feel like it had pretty solid shifting performance, and we'll let you guys see that when we get into the ride test portion. While we're back here, let's just check out some more stuff on the, so there's these attachment points on the rear basket here. I'm not actually sure what they're for. My guess is so that you can add maybe some rear wheel fenders or some just extra attachments for the rack itself. Now, speaking of fenders, we don't have any fenders at all, not even up front. I would have really liked to see some up front. On the back, it's not as bad just because the wheels are out to the side from where you are as the rider, so it's there's less opportunity for them to fling up and hit you with any mud and water and that kind of stuff. But nothing on the front, unfortunately. And you know, it's a fat tire, so you can see the tire on either side of that down tube right there. So pretty easy for it to fling up and hit you with mud, water, that kind of stuff if you're riding in bad weather. Just be aware of that. You know, there's not even attachment points for adding fenders up there. There's fenders that you can still add on there that don't need attachment points, that are not quite as secure. And of course, keep in mind it's a trike. You're not going to be going as fast or driving as wild as you might on a regular e-bike just because of stability concerns with turning and stuff like that. But still, I guess the point is I would have liked to see some kind of a fender on that. Now, the frame on this, something I thought was interesting, is it's a different grade of aluminum actually. This is a 70-75 aluminum alloy, where we typically will see 60-61 or maybe 60-60 on the alloys. They did do a nice job with their cabling. You know, they're internally routing it through the frame here, and then you can see it come out back down near the bottom there. There's the controller box. 25 amp controller, I do believe, on that. But I like the integrated cabling. Keeps it out of the way, keeps it looking nice. And I think we mentioned this already, but they do give you plenty of extra cable up there if you do want to raise those handlebars up even further. And they did a nice job with the shield, or I don't know if shielding is the right word, but just the wraps on there. Helps to protect them and keep them managed a little bit better. I like the appearance on this. Reminds me of old school telephone cords, so I think that's pretty cool. All right, guys, so we've talked about really everything on here aside from jumping on and riding it around. So let me grab my bag and we will do some cruising around on here and see how it does. I was putting on my backpack and I said, Tyson, what are you doing? You're riding a trike, for goodness sake. So we are just going to set that right in the back here. I'm putting it in upside down just because I don't want the straps to, you know, fall down and get tangled up in anything underneath there. Yeah, that's awesome. Don't have to worry about carrying the bag. Alrighty, we're going to fire this up. Starting out, let's crank that all the way up to level 5 so that we can test out the power on this motor. Now you'll notice when I turn the throttle right off the bat, I don't get anything. That's because it's just off by default. I appreciate that. Nice safety measure. Hit that button right there to turn it on. Woohoo! I don't know if you could hear that, but I actually peeled out there on the front. That's how much power we have, you know, that 80 Newton meters of torque. So this trike is not messing around. I think that is pretty cool. All right, so got turned around here. I'm gonna get properly sitting up here. So we're just gonna take off on the throttle. Oop, I think I turned it off. That is cool. So we are accelerating very fast. All right, I'm gonna slow down now. I think my brakes are properly tuned up. This bike really hasn't been ridden ever. But yeah, we've got a ton of power on this throttle. Not messing around at all. You can get going really fast. I appreciate that for this kind of a trike. You know, it's good for hauling stuff, so you might be carrying a lot of weight. I only weigh about 190 pounds, so we've got a lot more to hit that 350 weight limit. I do want to just say before we ride anymore, be careful on trikes like this, especially powerful ones. You don't want to be taking turns fast, especially not like slowing down and turning and going fast, because they can tip over. They're more stable than a regular bike. You don't have to balance in the same way, but it's a little bit deceptive. When you're turning, they're actually kind of less stable because you get used to not thinking about your balance, and so it's easy to tip them over. So just be careful about that. All right, we're gonna just start start driving again here. So like for example on this turn here, I'm gonna go pretty slow. On their website, they actually recommend staying under 5 miles an hour while you're turning. Just good to be safe, of course. Now, we did not actually talk about the cadence sensor at all yet. So we're gonna do a little bit of that just so you can see it in action. Now, before we ride with it, let's just take a look at it here. And there it is, you can see it right through there. That is a 12 magnet cadence sensor. So 12 magnets is nice. That's kind of becoming the standard now, really. Originally with e-bikes, you'd see 4 and then 8, etc. So 12 magnets has a little bit better responsiveness for detecting when you're pedaling. What I'm not loving on it is just that it's not sealed. You know, you can see it right there. That makes it more vulnerable to getting bumped or getting dirty, getting bent. The magnets can fall out. So you just want to keep an eye on that. Now with a trike like this, you're not going to be doing any off-roading or anything too crazy, so it's not as much of a risk as it might be on another type of bike, but it's still just something that's good to be aware of. If your pedal assistance stops working, or it just seems weird and kind of like it works and then it doesn't, check out your cadence sensor, see if something got bumped there. And we are still up here in level 5. So I wanted to just give you a sense for the delay with it. If you haven't ridden with a cadence sensor before, this is about what to expect. And when you start pedaling, there it goes. So much power. Slow down again. So you can hear the delay both for getting started and also for stopping. And the stopping thing is a little bit more of a safety concern. If you stop pedaling, the motor can still keep pushing you forward for a bit. Now, fortunately on here, we do have motor inhibitors built into these brakes. So when you squeeze those brake levers, they'll cut power to the motor. So you don't have to worry about the safety side of it. Getting started, you have to pump those pedals for a revolution or two for the cadence sensor to kick in. So on a big heavy bike like this, you're probably going to find yourself using that throttle to get started. You can twist on that throttle a little bit, get some speed going, start pedaling, and then the pedal assistance will kick in. Holy moly, this thing is powerful. I'm going to just go ahead and bump that down to, you know, about 3 or so. I think that'll be a little bit better for this. Even in 3, this thing has so much power. All right, so let's, oh man, that is squealing loud. Let's go ahead and bump that back up to 5. Just to give you another, a closer look, I should say, at that front hub motor, just so you can get an idea for the volume. This is a really loud motor, geared hub motor. It's big and powerful at 750 watts, so it is a very loud bike. Very loud, very easy to hear for sure. It's not Not going to be winning any stealth competitions, of course. Going to make a nice slow turn here. Now, I mentioned earlier being a little bit concerned about the mechanical brakes, especially for those rear ones, since it's a long ways for the cable. And I do have to pull pretty firmly on these when I'm stopping just using the rear brake. When I'm not using the camera and I'm using both brakes, it feels pretty good stopping power there. So I think it works all right with the mechanical ones. Now, just be aware that you do still have to pull on them a bit harder than with hydraulic. So if you have, maybe if you have weak hands or you have some arthritis or something like that, this may not be the trike for you. If it's going to be hard for you to squeeze on those brake levers, then you might want to look for something that has hydraulic instead. Now, I feel like I've got a pretty comfortable ride here, thanks to that suspension fork up front. And, you know, it's a basic suspension fork. If anything, I'm getting more help from the fat tires than anything else. They really help to absorb a lot of those bumps in the road and keep the ride a bit more cushioned. And these tires can be dropped all the way down to 50 psi, or 50. They can be dropped all the way down to 5 psi. Let me get out of the direct sunlight here. Now, these tires can be dropped all the way down to 5 psi, and that's good for, of course, sand or snow or something like that, but it's also just nice to get yourself a little bit more comfort on your ride, a little bit more cushion. You lose some efficiency and range when you do that, but you went out for comfort, and that is really what I see the use case being for this trike, for dropping the pressure down. You're probably not going to be doing a whole lot of sand and snow riding, just since it is a trike. It's really geared more towards, you know, being a hauler for around city or commuting and stuff like that. It'd be a great thing to take to the grocery stores, because you could take so much stuff on it with you on the way back. So I like that a lot. We'll get turned around here. That is just cool. All right, about the only thing we haven't talked about here is that shifter. I'm going to shift down to like 1, I think. And I can't really get a good view of it since it's underneath the rear frame of the trike here, but we'll do some shifting up just from up here so you can listen to it. Just in what, second now? So you can hear a little bit of clunking, really not much though. All the way up to 7, and then of course we can drop way down there all the way back to 1. Solid performance there. You know, that's the Shimano Tourney entry level from them. Still performs solid, I think, and we've got that nice chain guide on there, so it's not going to bounce off. So I think that does well. This bike feels really nice in pedal assist 1, honestly. The power is not nearly as overwhelming as it was in really any of the higher ones. I mean, goodness, even if I just, whoa! Like I feel like I was about to fall off the back of it there, just shifting up to 2. So no shortage of power on this trike. I appreciate that. And I do want to I want to make you aware of that at the same time. It's fun and it feels great, but if you're concerned about, you know, control and stability and stuff like that, this might be a little more power than you need. Especially if you're a smaller person, you'd want to be sure to keep it down in those lower assist levels. And, you know, just remember, even in assist level 1, you can still crank that throttle and full power. Yeah, really a lot of fun to ride, honestly. Like, I want to put this motor on a standard fat tire e-bike with some, you know, full suspension maybe, and go tearing around off-road. I think that would be a blast. All right, guys, that about does it here for this trike. Again, this was made by AddMotor. It's the M330 P7. This is a powerful trike. It would be a really good hauler because you got the 2 baskets, you got a 350-pound weight limit, nice sturdy fat tires, and an insanely powerful hub motor up here on the front. I'm still amazed that I was able to just peel out like I did. You know, we do have a lot of weight in the back, but still no shortage of power there, 80 Newton meters of torque. We're missing a few things that I would have liked to see, particularly a front fender would be really nice. But we do have integrated front and rear tail lights, of course. Got that cadence-based pedal assist, got the twist throttle, saddle's pretty comfy. Very high capacity battery, so you can get a long ways on this. I'm estimating around 30 miles for the minimum end of the range, and maybe as much as 50 or 60 using pedal assist. So yeah, that about does it for this bike. Now, if you guys got questions or comments about it, or you know, you've ridden an AddMotor bike, maybe you have one, you know, chime in the comments section here. Let us know what you think. We've got the AddMotor forum back on our website, ElectricBikeReview.com. There you can also find the full written review, the specs, the stats, the measurements, you name it. So go ahead and check that out back there. All right, guys, ride safe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.